Attention, fans. A very important update has just been released, and you'll be getting all the details right now. But before I tell you all the details, a quick message, and one that makes all the difference for us to continue this work every day. If you're not subscribed to our channel yet, take advantage of this moment and click the subscribe button. And of course, don't forget to leave your like. This really helps our channel to grow and continue bringing you everything, absolutely everything about the Las Vegas Raiders. We're always here, keeping an eye on every move, every rumor, every news. So also activate the bell so you don't miss anything. Now, let's get straight to the news. The Las Vegas Raiders are in the middle of one of the most crucial off-seasons in the NFL, and perhaps in the franchise's recent history. The team enters this draft with a tangle of holes on the roster, a high-impact pick in the 6th overall position, and a strategic decision that could redefine the organization's course for the next few years. The question that hangs in the air is, would Tetairoa McMillan be the ideal fit for the Raiders? And most importantly, is it worth betting so high on a wide receiver, considering the team's overall outlook? Let's take a step back for a moment. The current situation with the Raiders' receiving core is far from ideal. Since the sudden departure of Davante Adams, who, despite publicly declaring his desire to stay in Vegas, ended up forcing a trade at the beginning of last season, the offensive unit has been trying to rebuild with what it has on hand. Jakobi Meyers, who's shown for the New England Patriots for 3 consecutive seasons, was the main name in 2024. But, let's face it, as solid as he is, Meyers is an excellent number 2. The problem? He's being treated like a number 1. That's where the name that's catching all the analysts' attention comes in, Tetairoa McMillan. At 6'4", with nearly 220 pounds of raw power and a refined route-running ability, McMillan emerges as the most complete wide receiver in the 2025 class. His potential as an outside threat would be immediately useful to any quarterback, be it Geno Smith, who is currently projected to start in Vegas, or any other name that could land via draft or trade. The idea of a trio of McMillan, Bowers and Meyers is not only exciting, it's offensively promising. But before we get carried away with this fantasy of highlights and touchdowns, it's important to remember, the Raiders don't have just one need. They have several. The offensive line needs reinforcements. The pass rush lacks depth. And the secondary still has gaping holes against elite aerial attacks. That's why names like Mike Moratis of the Sporting News are warning, spending a top 6 pick on a wide receiver may not be the smartest move, as tempting as McMillan may seem. The issue is also about long-term strategy. With Meyers surpassing the 1,000-yard mark in 2024, even with a shifting quarterback rotation, he has proven himself to be reliable. Had Adams not hogged the targets in 2023, Meyers might have reached that feat earlier. This shows that the Raiders' problem may not necessarily be the quality of their receivers, but rather the lack of a stable offensive system and a consistent QB. What comes next is unpredictable. The Raiders could surprise and go after McMillan, betting on an explosive offense. They could also take the safe route and shore up the trenches or defense, areas traditionally more difficult to find talent outside the top of the draft. But one thing is certain, the move made with the 6th overall pick will speak volumes about the mindset of the front office and the direction this team intends to take. If McMillan dons the silver and black jersey, he will bring new life to a fan base hungry for victories. But if he is overlooked for a more pressing need, that would also be understandable. The clock is ticking, and the Raiders are about to show the world what their true priority is for the future. In recent seasons, a trend has been gaining attention in the NFL. The running back position, once considered essential, has been gradually devalued. Owners are increasingly reluctant to offer these players big contracts. The reason is clear, a running back's career is short, and paying a lot for someone who may only have 1 or 2 more years at a high level has become a risky investment. The Raiders understood this logic. Even with Josh Jacobs shining in Green Bay, the Las Vegas franchise chose not to open the coffers. And as unpopular as the decision was at the time, it has solid foundations. Even with Jacobs out, the Raiders didn't fall that far behind in the running game, and that's telling. In 2023, the team had the 3rd worst rushing yards record in the NFL, which at first glance seems like a disaster. But when we look at the context, we realize that even with Jacobs on the roster previously, the production wasn't much better. In other words, the problem with the Las Vegas running attack goes beyond the individual talent of a running back. It's a structural issue. The team has too many holes, and spending a lot on an elite RB wouldn't solve the deficiencies of the roster as a whole. Paying a lot for a star when you have a team with several needs could be a fatal mistake. For 2025, the Raiders know they need to make changes at this position, but with caution. The arrival of veteran Raheem Mostert is a step in the right direction, an experienced, efficient player who comes in at an affordable price. But that doesn't close the door on other additions. One of the team's bets could be young Ashton Jeanty, a name that has been gaining traction as a possible first-round pick in the draft. Jeanty has explosiveness, agility, and a style of play that could fit well into the Raiders' offensive scheme. But the ideal scenario depends on him being available when the team makes the pick. And what if he's already been selected? The Raiders need a plan B. That's where a name that's been mentioned around the league comes in: Breece Hall, the Jets' current running back. According to Priyanshu Chaudhary of Pro Football Network, Hall could become a viable option for Las Vegas if the Jets consider a trade. And there's logic behind it. Hall is young, has shown consistency by surpassing the 800-yard rushing mark in 2 consecutive seasons, and in 2023 he was just 6 yards away from reaching the 1,000-yard mark, a significant feat considering the chaos that New York's offense was last year. If the Raiders can land Hall and fit him into a revamped offense with Geno Smith at quarterback and talented tight end Brock Bowers as a target, the scenario changes completely. This offensive trio could give the team a new identity and transform one of last season's worst offenses into a real threat in the AFC. Breece Hall brings the necessary balance of youth, explosiveness, and experience, something that could be decisive in such a competitive division. And more than that, he could be the missing piece for the Raiders to find their way back to relevance in the NFL. Leave your comment now and let's interact. See you soon.